Hello and good evening. Well, the much-awaited day throughout the COVID pandemic last year has finally come in 2021. India's Drugs Controller General of India has given limited emergency use approval for not one but two vaccines today. The first being Serum Institute's Covishield, which will be manufactured in India under technology transfer from the United Kingdom, and the second, India's homegrown Covaxin, developed by Bharat Biotech along with the ICMR and NIV Pune. We'll be talking to our guests about this landmark move in the battle against COVID-19 being waged across the country and the world. But first, our headlines. The nation gets much-awaited good news in the new year. India gets approval for two vaccines at one go to combat the COVID pandemic. DCGI grants emergency use authorization for Covishield and Covaxin after expert panel's recommendation. Covishield is being made by Serum Institute and homegrown Covaxin, developed by Bharat Biotech along with ICMR and NIV Pune, both cleared as safe and effective. Prime Minister Narendra Modi terms the clearance of two vaccines as a decisive moment, strengthening India's hand in a key battle. Says it will bolster the efforts for a healthy and COVID-free nation. Expresses gratitude towards hard-working scientists and innovators and congratulates the nation. Terms indigenous vaccine as a major step in the direction of Aatmanirbhar Bharat, a source of pride for all Indians. Clearance of the vaccines is hailed all across the country. Several top union ministers and state governments call it a huge development for the nation. Home Minister says homegrown vaccine will prove to be a game changer in taking the dream of self-reliant India forward. Wave of relief and joy also sweeps across the health sector. Former Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav comes under fire from various quarters by making a political comment about the COVID vaccines. Rival parties gave him a tongue lashing. BJP demands an apology. Tragic incident in Ghaziabad's Muradnagar, 17 people killed in a roof collapse at a cremation site. President, Prime Minister and Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister expressed sorrow. Probe announced into the incident. Next round of talks between the centre and agitating farmers on Monday. The last round of talks saw agreement on two issues. The other two main issues are now set to be taken up for resolution. Minister of State for Agriculture expresses hope of the talks being successful. Prime Minister Modi will deliver the inaugural address at the National Metrology Conference through a video link on Monday. He will also dedicate National Atomic Time Scale and Bharatiya Nirdeshak Dravya to the nation, apart from laying the foundation stone for the National Environmental Standards Laboratory. And heavy rains lash Delhi NCR, making the going difficult for commuters in several parts. Minimum temperature goes up in most of North India, but maximum stays low. More rain forecast by the Met Department over the next 3 days in several parts of North India. Well, the third day of the new year brought forth the kind of good news which the country had been waiting for ever since the COVID pandemic hit Indian shores in 2020. The Drugs Controller General of India gave its approval for limited emergency use of not just one but two vaccines to combat the virus. While Covishield is being made in India under technology transfer from the United Kingdom, Covaxin is completely homegrown, putting India in an envied league of nations in the world. Well, here are the details.
Vaccines of Messrs. Serum and Bharat Biotech are being approved for restricted use in emergency situation.
New Year has started on a good note for the entire nation. COVID vaccines of Serum Institute of India and Bharat Biotech have been approved for use in India. Finally, the people can look forward for the vaccination drive that will soon begin across the nation. The Subject Expert Committee of Central Drugs Standard Control Organization or CDSCO met on 1st and 2nd January and made recommendations in respect of proposal for restricted emergency approval of COVID-19 virus vaccine of Serum Institute of India and Bharat Biotech.
Messrs. Bharat Biotech has developed a whole variant inactivated coronavirus vaccine named Covaxin, in collaboration with ICMR and National Institute of Virology, Pune, from where they received the virus seed strains. This vaccine is developed on ViroCell platform, which has well-established track record of safety and efficacy in the country and globally.
The decision has paved the way for two vaccine candidates to be used for vaccination drive in India. Serum Institute of India, Pune has presented a recombinant chimpanzee adenovirus vector vaccine named as Covishield, encoding the SARS-CoV-2 spike S glycoprotein with technology transfer from AstraZeneca and Oxford University. Bharat Biotech has developed a whole virion inactivated coronavirus vaccine known as Covaxin in collaboration with ICMR and NIV Pune. Bharat Biotech received the virus seed strains from NIV. In case of Serum Institute of India, the overall vaccine efficacy was found to be 70.42%. The firm submitted safety, immunogenicity and efficacy data generated on more than 23,000 participants aged 18 years or older from overseas clinical studies. Further, Serum was granted permission to conduct Phase 2 and Phase 3 clinical trials on 1,600 participants within India. The clinical trial ongoing within the country by the firm will continue. In case of Bharat Biotech, Phase 1 and Phase 2 clinical trials were conducted in approximately 800 subjects, and the results have demonstrated that the vaccine is safe and provides a robust immune response. The Phase 3 efficacy trial was initiated in India in 25,800 volunteers, and till date, about 22,500 participants have been vaccinated across the country, and the vaccine has been found to be safe as per the data available. Serum and Bharat Biotech vaccines have to be administered in 2 doses. All the vaccines have to be stored at 2 to 8 degrees Celsius. The subject expert committee has reviewed the data on safety and immunogenicity of the vaccine and recommended for grant of permission for restricted use in emergency situation in public interest as an abundant precaution in clinical trial board, so as to have more options for vaccinations, especially in case of infection by a mutant strain. The authorities have once again reiterated that the vaccines are safe and all rumors which are being spread about them are baseless.
एक बात पे पूरा आप श्योर रहिए कि किसी में भी सेफ्टी का कंसर्न होगा, थोड़ा भी कंसर्न होगा तो हम उसको कभी अप्रूव नहीं करेंगे। कुल मिलाकर ये सेफ है। ऑफ कोर्स 110%। 100 नहीं, साइड इफेक्ट थोड़े बहुत तो होते हैं, पर वो जो जैसे छोटी मोटी साइड पे पेन होना, थोड़ा सा फीवर होना, थोड़ी सी एलर्जी होना, ये तो हर वैक्सीन में होता है।
The vaccines present a huge leap for realizing the potential of a self-reliant or Aatmanirbhar India.
It's a very great moment is that unlike in the past where we had to rely on imports for various products, whether it be PPE or N95, now we have vaccines which are being manufactured in India, and therefore we don't have to rely on vaccines coming from outside. And they're cost effective, they're easy to administer between 2 to 8 degrees centigrade, which is what can be done in an ordinary fridge.
Now the process of actually administering the vaccine with its logistical and administrative parameters will begin throughout the nation. The dry run was conducted in the entire nation on 2nd of January, where Indian states basically checked various aspects of the inoculation process. In the early stages, the priority will be vaccination of 1 crore health workers and 2 crore frontline workers.
In the initial phase, COVID-19 vaccine will be provided to priority groups, and these include healthcare workers, frontline workers. Those above the age of 50 may also get vaccinated early depending upon the availability of vaccine.
India has taken a big step in the fight against COVID-19, and the initial steps in the process of overall vaccination are seen by many experts as the beginning of the end of the pandemic. All eyes will be on the vaccination drive, and it will be important to remember that people will have to observe the safety protocols even though the vaccination drive will be on, as it will be as crucial as the inoculation drive to defeat COVID-19. Newsnight Desk, DD India.
Now, as soon as the announcement was made about the approval of the two vaccines, the nation erupted with joy. Top leaders, including Prime Minister Narendra Modi, were all praised for India's scientists and innovators and said that the day is not far that India will be COVID-free.
The new year brings with it new weapons to fight the COVID-19 pandemic, and they are being welcomed wholeheartedly across the nation. Prime Minister Narendra Modi termed the approval granted to Serum Institute of India and Bharat Biotech vaccines as a decisive turning point to strengthen a spirited fight against corona. The Prime Minister tweeted, "A decisive turning point to strengthen a spirited fight. DGCI granting approval to vaccines of Serum Institute of India and Bharat Biotech accelerates the road to a healthier and COVID-free nation. Congratulations, India. Congratulations to our hard-working scientists and innovators." The Prime Minister described the Made in India vaccine as a proud moment for the country and a big step towards a self-reliant India. He tweeted, "It would make every Indian proud that the two vaccines that have been given emergency use approval are made in India. This shows the eagerness of our scientific community to fulfill the dream of an Aatmanirbhar Bharat, at the root of which is care and compassion." The Prime Minister expressed gratitude to all the COVID warriors and frontline workers. He tweeted, "We reiterate our gratitude to doctors, medical staff, scientists, police personnel, sanitation workers and all corona warriors for the outstanding work done, that too in adverse circumstances. We will remain eternally grateful to them for saving many lives." Union Home Minister Amit Shah congratulated Prime Minister on the vaccine approval. He tweeted, "A momentous achievement for India. DGCI has granted approval to COVID vaccines of Serum Institute of India and Bharat Biotech. I salute our very talented and hard-working scientists for making India proud. Congratulations to Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji for striving towards a COVID-free India. Visionary leadership can make a huge difference. Time and again, we have seen a new India eager to innovate and help the humanity during crisis. The approval to Made in India vaccines will prove to be a game changer in boosting Prime Minister Narendra Modi's vision of an Aatmanirbhar Bharat." Union Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan described it as a historic step in the war against COVID-19, attributing it to the charismatic leadership of Prime Minister Modi. A watershed moment in India's famed battle against COVID-19 under the charismatic leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. Information and Broadcasting Minister Prakash Javadekar described it as a big historic day for India. He thanked the Prime Minister for the reassuring announcement. Dr. Poonam Khetrapal Singh, Regional Director, Southeast Asia Region of the World Health Organization, said that the WHO welcomed India's decision to allow emergency use of COVID-19 vaccine, the first in the Southeast Asia region. Adar Poonawala, the CEO of Serum Institute of India, confirmed that Oxford AstraZeneca's Covishield will be ready for vaccination in the coming weeks. He tweeted, "Happy New Year everyone. All the risks Serum Institute of India took with stockpiling the vaccine have finally paid off. Covishield, India's first COVID-19 vaccine, is approved, safe, effective and ready to roll out in the coming weeks." Many states have also welcomed the approval.
मैं प्रधानमंत्री जी का अभिनंदन करता हूं। उनके नेतृत्व में कोविड की लड़ाई को, कोविड के खिलाफ लड़ाई को बहुत सफलतापूर्वक लड़ा गया है और कोविड काल में भी उन्होंने भारत का जैसा नेतृत्व किया है वो अद्भुत है। अब वैक्सीन को भी मंजूरी दे दी गई।
वैक्सीन हमारे अप्रूव हो चुके हैं भारत में, तो उसका जब भी सप्लाई आने का जो डेट सुनिश्चित किया जाएगा केंद्र सरकार द्वारा और हमारे यहाँ जब पहुँचेगा उसके बाद, क्योंकि उसमें टाइम तो लगेगा ही, 10 दिन कम से कम लगेगा लॉजिस्टिक्स को यहाँ तक पहुँचाना, हमारे हेडक्वार्टर तक, वहाँ से हर जनपद में जाना, जनपद से CHC पर जाना, एक काफ़ी बड़ा एक चेन बनाना पड़ता है, बना हुआ है। तो वो करने के बाद तो मकर संक्रांति के बाद ही हमको लगता है कोई डेट आ ही जाएगा।
Many more companies have been given an opportunity to provide the vaccines. It's a good development. There is a huge requirement to fulfill. Probably by allowing one more company, it is facilitating the very early immunization of all the citizens. I think that's a way forward. We appreciate.
कल अप्रूवल मिली है तो जल्द से जल्द कुछ ही दिनों में आनी स्टार्ट हो जाएंगी, तो लगाने स्टार्ट कर देंगे तुरंत।
Healthcare professionals have also welcomed the announcement but cautioned people that even after the vaccine, COVID-appropriate protocols are necessary for some time. The vaccine approval has been welcomed throughout the country. It is clear that it is a clear shot in the arm for the fight against COVID-19 pandemic. Newsnight Desk, DD India.
Okay, now 2 vaccines have been cleared, but this has also led to some people spreading all kinds of rumors and misconceptions about it. However, the kind of remark that Samajwadi Party chief Akhilesh Yadav has made about the much-awaited development which can turn the tide against the COVID pandemic, that simply takes the cake. He's been pilloried by rivals for bringing politics into such a crucial matter which concerns the entire humanity. But clearly, countering misconceptions and lies about the vaccines will remain a work in progress.
देखिए, मैं तो नहीं लगवाऊंगा अभी वैक्सीन, मैंने अपनी बात कह दी, और वो भी बीजेपी लगाएगी, उसका भरोसा करूंगा मैं? अरे जाओ भाई, अरे अपनी सरकार आएगी, सबको फ्री वैक्सीन लगेगी, हम बीजेपी का वैक्सीन नहीं लगवा सकते.
A person no less than a former Chief Minister of India's most populous state indulging in pure politics at a time when the world has been anxiously waiting for vaccines to stop the COVID pandemic in its tracks. But no sooner had Samajwadi Party President Akhilesh Yadav uttered his politics-laced words that several other political parties let loose against him. The BJP, while terming such remarks as an insult to the country's scientists, has called for an apology. Other political parties have simply termed it wrong.
ये लोग वो हैं कि छुप करके लगवा लेंगे और लोग को इस तरह की बातों में भ्रम में रखेंगे और वो दूसरे कारण से कह रहे हैं. मैं उस पर अभी टीका टिप्पणी नहीं कर रहा हूं.
अखिलेश यादव जी की ये टिप्पणी दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है और किसी पार्टी के साथ जोड़कर देखते हैं तो इससे बड़ा दुर्भाग्य क्या होगा कि एक युवा नेता इस तरह की स्टेटमेंट देता है.
अखिलेश यादव जी देश के सबसे बड़े प्रदेश उत्तर प्रदेश के मुख्यमंत्री रहे हैं. उनको टीकाकरण को लेकर के नकारात्मक टिप्पणी नहीं करनी चाहिए.
Some Congress leaders seem to side with Akhilesh Yadav on his vaccine politics. One functionary of Akhilesh's party went to the extent of saying that the vaccine can make people impotent. But Drugs Controller General of India has rubbished all these claims.
अगर किसी को ये डर है कि इस वैक्सीन का गलत इस्तेमाल हो सकता है तो मैं समझता हूं कि सरकार को चाहिए कि विपक्ष के नेताओं को कॉन्फिडेंस मिले.
सर, लोग ये कह रहे हैं कि इम्पोर्टेंट हो जाएंगे, ये भी सही है क्या?
ये तो बहुत ही बकवास है.
While National Conference Vice President Omar Abdullah trashed the SP chief's remarks on Twitter, saying the more people that get vaccinated, the better it will be for the country and the economy. No vaccine belongs to any political party. They belong to humanity, and the sooner we get vulnerable people vaccinated, the better. Vaccines are the result of the hard work put in by scientists both at home and abroad. The indigenous vaccine is helping India raise its international stature further as well. With the kind of situation the country and the world is facing, politicking over vaccination could harm the interests of entire humanity. Newsnight Desk, DD India. So now that 2 vaccine candidates have been approved for emergency use, it's very important to find out what will come next and how things will be done. And for that, when you look at what is an essential part, technology is an essential part because there is a key role for the CoWIN app. What all will it do? Well, registration and verification of beneficiaries will happen through this app. Scheduling of inoculation will also happen for each beneficiary through the app itself. SMS reminders for getting the first vaccine shot and the follow-on doses as well will be through the app again. Reporting adverse event following immunization will again be done on the app so that there is collated data for it as well. And the issuance of e-certificate post-vaccination will also be done through the app. It will be an e-certificate that you can carry anywhere on your phone or any other device. If it's required anywhere at an immigration point or anywhere in the country to access any place, you can show it over there. So this will be a very, very essential part of the entire exercise. Further on, vaccination center workflow will also be very, very important. There will be an, of course, entry point where they will check whether you've got the SMS or not to come and get yourself vaccinated. Then there is the waiting room where all the COVID norms will be followed. Verification desk will also be there where it will be verified whether you have actually been sent the information to come to the center and get vaccinated. You'll also be checked whether you have any symptoms or not. Then you will go into the vaccination room where the actual vaccine will be administered to you. It's an intramuscular vaccine, so you can see how it's been given right there in the arm. There's an observation room as well where you will have to remain for 30 minutes because they will see whether there's any reaction to the vaccine or not. And if there is no reaction, then of course you can go home happily and then wait for another updated SMS to come and get the second shot. Or if there is any reaction, then there are anaphylaxis kits that are there at the vaccination center. They'll be used in a way to give you first aid, or if the reaction is really adverse, then an attached hospital. Each vaccination center has an attached hospital. That's where the person will be moved, the beneficiary will be moved in case there is an adverse event and some adverse event symptoms do show up, some sort of an allergic reaction happens. Now, it's also very important to understand some of the FAQs that are coming up, such as, is vaccination possible without registration? The answer, of course, is no, it's not possible. You have to register electronically, really, to get the vaccination done if you are an identified beneficiary in the first phase. What are the documents required for vaccine registration? So there's a whole list of documents. Any kind of an identifying document which has a photograph issued by any kind of a government authority or certain institutions that have the similar stature, that will do, be it DL or it be a job card or of course Aadhaar, PAN card, voter ID, and much of a similar category. Further on, if you move further, can COVID infected person be vaccinated? Well, the answer to that is COVID infected person can be vaccinated only at least 14 days after appearance of symptoms. So once those symptoms are gone, 14 days have gone, that person can also be vaccinated. Is it essential for COVID infected or recovered persons to get vaccinated? The answer is yes, of course. COVID recovered persons should get vaccinated, and COVID infected persons should get the shot after remaining symptom free for at least 14 days. So that is also one very important question that needs answering, and it's been answered here. Should people taking medicines for serious illnesses like cancer and diabetes get vaccinated? The answer again is yes. People with any serious illness should also get vaccinated, as it will not impact their treatment in any way. Further on, what else is there to consider? Well, it's very important to keep in mind certain myths and realities of the need to keep away from rumors. There is a myth that COVID vaccine will be mandatory. That is not the reality. It's completely voluntary. You have to choose to get vaccinated. Nobody can force you to get vaccinated. Myth also is vaccine can change DNA or affect potency. Reality is no vaccine yet that impacts DNA or potency. That's pretty simple. Again, there's a myth that one-time vaccination grants lifelong immunity from COVID. The reality is duration of the immunity after vaccination is yet to be determined. So that is something that is still to be figured out. Another myth is one dose of the vaccine is enough to go mask-free. The reality is antibodies start developing 2 weeks after the second dose of the vaccine has been given. Until then, mask, hand washing and social distancing all are required even after vaccination has been taken. Another myth is that the vaccine side effects are worse than the COVID symptoms itself. Nothing is further from the truth. Mild fever, pain where shot is given are some of the side effects that have been normally seen during the trials of the vaccine. Furthermore, the myth is that there will be money needed that will have to be paid to get registered for the vaccination. Nothing could be further from the truth, because no registration process has been launched as yet for COVID vaccination. So that is something that is still to unfold, and not much is known about that. Although the minister has been saying that the first phase, those who will receive it, the beneficiaries, for them the vaccination will be free. And we will talk about this further in our In Focus as well, which is 2 COVID vaccines approved in India, and we will be talking to our guests about it in just a bit. And we will be introducing our guests to you as well, 2 eminent persons who will talk about all aspects of the vaccine, the 2 candidates that have been approved, and also how it has led to India's stature in the community of nations also going up further. And joining us now are Dr. N Krishna Reddy, who's Senior Cardiologist and Country Director, Access Health International. We're also joined by Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's a former senior diplomat, very well known. And first to you, Dr. Reddy, in terms of how these two vaccine candidates have been approved for limited emergency use, it's been clearly said that they will be completely safe and efficacious in terms of combating COVID-19. What more can you tell us about how effective are they likely to be?
Yeah, I think both the vaccines, have gone through phase 1, phase 2, and going through the phase 3 trials. So there are enough number of people who have been vaccinated, thousands of people by both the vaccines across. Of course, AstraZeneca has experience in other countries as well. And Covaxin, as I remember, it is already vaccinated in about 23,000 plus people, volunteers. So the first question I think any approving body looks at it is how safe it is. I think that safety issue has been convincingly addressed by both the vaccines. The second thing is the effectiveness of these vaccines. I think both the vaccines have demonstrated a good immune response. I think both the vaccines have been tested for both the antibody-based immune response as well as cell-mediated immune response. So at least in those immune studies, both the vaccines have convincing evidence of adequate immune response, which lasted for the weeks of study that were subjected to. The third aspect is, of course, the effectiveness in preventing the clinical disease, that is the COVID illness, in people who receive vaccine compared to who do not receive the vaccine. I think that is where, since the trial is still going on for both the vaccines, including even the other approved vaccines across other countries as well, most of these phase 3 approvals have been granted based on the interim results of efficacy, which reached the statistical significance. So I think so far, both the safety and efficacy in vitro as well as in vivo animal as well as human trials, I think there is an adequate for emergency use approval. I think the full approval will wait for a continuing data availability and the final concluding data, because it also includes the follow-up data for at least 1 year or 2 years to see what is the duration of the efficacy of this vaccine.
Okay. And how remarkable do you think it is that one of these vaccines is completely homegrown, and that and the health minister has been very clear about it, that this may prove to be more effective against the new COVID strain that is coming from the UK as well?
Yeah, it is a matter of pride, I think, to be able to do everything. I think everything right from the virus isolation, its characterization, its culturing, and then growing into the vaccine mode and testing it in thousands of people. I think it's a matter of pride that we have done it within 1 year. Since it is a kind of a whole virus vaccine compared to specific proteins which are incorporated into the adenovirus with the AstraZeneca vaccine, or even the Pfizer vaccine and the Moderna vaccines, which are limited to specific proteins, important proteins, spike proteins. So the immune response is directed against multiple proteins when you give whole virus vaccine, compared to specific fragments of the proteins. Right. So we don't know, unless we compare head to head, how effective or not. But that's why I think since it is an emergency use authorization, the stringent protocols have to be followed as a follow-up. As COVID also changes its behavior, and also the vaccines have a different mode of action. So we need to be watchful for each of these vaccines across the globe, not just within our country.
Okay. Now, Arnold Schwarzenegger, if I could ask you, in terms of the fact that there is, of course, we have a homegrown vaccine, there's Aatmanirbhar Bharat as well. So that is another aspect. But when it comes to meeting the needs of the world, and India becoming a source where the world will look up to for a solution to their own COVID problems, what does that do to India's global stature?
Well, as you know, that the key aspect of India's foreign policy has been in the format or the principle of Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam. The world is one family. And that has been shown from the very beginning of this pandemic. That is when we started providing assistance, the medicines, whether it was hydroxychloroquine or paracetamol, or even the kits. Our rapid response forces were provided to various countries, including the United States. And in fact, the Brazilian president called Indian supplies as Sanjeevani Booty. I mean, so from that point of view, we have a great distinction. Secondly, we have always stood by various developing countries' requirements, especially in Africa or in various other parts of the developing countries. India has stood for them. And even now, this is what we have done, is that what India is not only a factory for pharmacy for the world, but also it has become the vaccine hub of the world.
Yes.
And we have said that when we are creating this vaccine, domestically we have done it, and even the other vaccine has also been produced in India itself. So both in some ways are indigenous in a way. So what I feel is, secondly, that India has also offered to neighborhood, all the neighboring countries, we have told them that we'll be providing them. We are also said to various countries in the world. Thirdly, what we have done is we have also taken up at the WHO that other vaccines, because no single vaccine can meet the demands of the world. So therefore, we have said that IPR requirements, which are very stringent from the Western countries, could be suspended for some time. So India has been essentially becoming a leader in this domain, and I think it has added tremendously to our soft power. And we are ready to assist, and we have assisted despite the fact that we had shortages ourselves. So these two vaccines and the other vaccine that we are developing now, the Sputnik, for example, the trials going on in India, and I think we are going to buy or produce about 100 million doses of that. So India has been working with various countries and indigenously to develop these vaccines to deal with the pandemic in the most efficient manner. And the best part about India's effort is that we consider it, the vaccine, as a global good, as a global common. And we want to provide it to as many people as possible after meeting our own requirements.
Okay. Now that is one proviso that you added at the end, but Dr. Reddy, if anybody were to question how will India, provide for the world when it has its own massive requirements, I'm sure we have an answer to that in terms of the kind of capabilities that India has developed over the years, over the decades really, in terms of not only manufacture of drugs, but also now vaccines.
Yes, I mean, now that almost 5 companies are engaged in development of various vaccines. And importantly, I think the Serum Institute had invested amounts even before the validity of the vaccine came. So that is a bold decision to prepare a company for the world, anticipating the requirement and how the COVID has actually impacted the world into both lives and the livelihoods. So somebody to take the risk in producing for the world, not only just for the country. I think, yeah, we stand, as other speaker has said, that it gives a great opportunity for us to redemonstrate our concern for the global humanity, and not just for the Indians alone. So we have the 5 companies, I mean, the biological events, the Bharat Biotech, the COVID, the Sputnik vaccine, the Dr. Reddy Labs, and Hetero Drugs, and as well as the Caddy Lab. So with these 5 companies who are leaders in the world, even in the pharmaceutical space, and have demonstrated in the vaccine space. So I think we are confident that we may be able to meet almost 2/3 of the global requirement of the vaccine. That's a great achievement for the country.
Right. So we can meet 2/3 of the global requirements of the vaccine, Anil Trigunath. That would be a huge number, and then it would become a matter of perhaps prioritizing as to how to roll it out, not just in the country, but in the entire world. So do we have any sort of a playbook there that can be referred to?
Yes, we have actually, our minister, in fact, we have, as you know, that we have worked with the Gavi vaccine. We have committed $15 million. And also we have had the SARC meeting under the G20 in different areas India has offered. Now we have also advised all our ambassadors and high commissioners to approach the countries of their accreditation to assess and estimate and find out their requirements exactly of the vaccine so that it can be prioritized, because there are several other countries also who are working on this and trying to provide. So I think it has to be an integral effort on the part of everyone, but India is going to provide. I mean, as you know, for the developing countries and for our own neighborhood, we have said that it will be at the far lower prices. It will be, I mean, previous assistance that we have given, most of it has gone by way of our grants. So India is essentially working as in truly in a form of the world as one family and try to assist so that this pandemic could be eliminated. So we do have a plan. We are culling all the data, collecting it from across the world, from various countries, especially the developing world, and so that India could provide the requisite support to them by way of the vaccines.
So clearly, India not only has a plan in place for rolling out the vaccine at home, but also even abroad to all those who might need assistance there. But Dr. Reddy, that brings us to the all-important question of when actually can we see the vaccine being rolled out. We've already had a dry run. What else do you think needs to be put in place and by when can we actually roll out the vaccine?
Yeah, since the dry run is done, as well as some of the stockpiles are already there, the next question is the people's registration as per the priority list that has been given. Most of the centers are already ready. So once this registration drive is initiated, maybe it may be initiated within the next week, then the vaccine actually will be on the road, and I think the first vaccine may be delivered within the next 1 week, if I understand the news correctly.
Okay, and I believe that perhaps a lot of awareness generation is also required before it is rolled out to the general populace. One does not expect too many issues to crop up when it comes to health workers and first responders, the COVID warriors. But for the general populace, since there's a lot of rumor mongering that is going on, a lot of disinformation being spread as well, and silly political remarks being made, perhaps a huge exercise there is also required.
I fully agree with that. I think much more challenge than the vaccine development is how do we control the social media and also certain irresponsible comments by important people. I think that has to be very, very excised by all the political leadership, that there is a responsibility for the public. Whatever comment that we make has a great implication because people follow the leaderships. So we have to be very careful in the way that we make the comments, because most of these vaccines and most of the regulatory bodies are facing tremendous scrutiny across the world, not just by the people, but by the scientific communities, by the public health experts. So that is there any mistake or is there any shortcut in approving these? So I think nobody will undertake any shortcut, and there are scientific committees, there are watchdogs across the world who are watching the data very carefully with the microscopes. And the data is being shared as and when it is available in its full scientific form. So given all these things, I think, yes, a lot of emphasis has to be given on curbing this misinformation. But sure. The will be that once the people start getting the vaccine, all the misinformation will get dispelled as they see their colleagues, their neighbors get the vaccine, and there are no so-called anticipated serious complications.
Well, we're all waiting to see that happen, perhaps in a matter of weeks. I'm sure the dissemination of information, correct information, will be done at a double quick pace as well, and it will be a day that will come very soon when we'll see a COVID-free India as well. Thank you so much for joining us this evening, Dr. Reddy as well as Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, moving on, the next round of talks between the centre and farmer unions will be held in the national capital on Monday, which is tomorrow. Earlier, talks between government and farmer unions were held on the 30th of December. Now, during the meeting, Union Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar had assured the farm leaders that the government is committed to solving their problems and both sides need to take steps forward to arrive at an amicable solution. The centre had assured the farmer unions that MSP and the mandi system will continue as before. The centre is now hopeful that the talks that will be held tomorrow, that is on Monday, will be fruitful.
किसान जो आंदोलन पर बैठे हैं उनसे वार्ता हमारी चल रही है और निश्चित रूप से हम आशावान हैं कल हमारी वार्ता होगी, उसके अंदर निश्चित रूप से एक सकारात्मक परिणाम होगा। और जैसा कि हमारी पीछे जो 7 दौर की बैठक हुई है बिल्कुल सकारात्मक और सौहार्दपूर्ण वातावरण के अंदर हुई है और कल भी होंगे, लेकिन ये कांग्रेस या आप या जो कम्युनिस्ट है वो इस घी में आग डालने का, आग में घी झोंकने का काम कर रहे हैं, लेकिन उनको सफलता किसी सूरत में नहीं मिलेगी, क्योंकि देश का किसान इस बात को भली भांति समझ चुका है।
Now, many farmers across the country are coming in support for the new farm laws. Farmers from Sangrur and Hoshiarpur in Punjab are also voicing their support for the new farm laws, saying that the farm laws will benefit them.
मेरा नाम गुरसेवक सिंह है और मैं पंजाब से संगरूर डिस्ट्रिक्ट से हूं और मेरा गांव थलेस है। जहां तक मेरे को इन बिलों से समझ आता है, ये सारे बिल किसान के हक में हैं। इससे बाज़ार खुल जाएगा, बाज़ार खुलेगा तो उससे आने वाले टाइम में प्राइस ज़्यादा मिलने की भी संभावना रहेगी, बनी रहेगी। तो किसानों को जो आमदन है उसकी बढ़ने के बहुत सारे विकल्प बने रहेंगे।
मेरा नाम ओंकार सिंह है और मैं पिंड चिंगड़ कलां जिला हुशियारपुर तो बिलोंग करदा। साडा पिछों खेतीबाड़ी किता है, लेकिन ये मोदी जी के जो 3 बिल आए वो स्टडी नाल ये पता लगता है कि वो आने वाले टाइम के विच किसानों वास्ते बहुत फायदेमंद है। जिस तरह सरकार की पॉलिसी है कि किसानों की आमदन दुगनी की जाए, इस हिसाब से अगर किसान अपनी जी फसल है वो खुली मंडी में बेचेगा तो उसकी आमदन शायद दुगने तो भी ज़्यादा होने की संभावना है, ये यकीन करिया जाए।
Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will deliver the inaugural address at the National Metrology Conference through a video link on Monday. He will also dedicate National Atomic Timescale and Bharatiya Nideshak Dravya to the nation, apart from laying the foundation stone for the National Environmental Standards Laboratory. The PM will be delivering the inaugural address.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will deliver the inaugural address at the National Metrology Conclave on the 4th of January 2021 via video conferencing. He will also dedicate the National Atomic Timescale and the Bharatiya Nirdeshak Dravya to the nation and lay the foundation stone of the National Environmental Standards Laboratory. Union Minister Dr. Harshvardhan will also be present on the occasion.
Honorable Prime Minister 3 चीज़ों का उद्घाटन करेंगे। एक तो जो नेशनल फिजिकल लेबोरेटरी ने जो 2.8 नैनोसेकंड की इंडियन स्टैंडर्ड टाइम क्रिएट किया हुआ है, जनरेट किया हुआ है, उस एटॉमिक क्लॉक इन सिंबल का उद्घाटन करेंगे और देश को समर्पित करेंगे। और ये जो 2.8 नैनोसेकंड की जो एक्यूरेट इंडियन स्टैंडर्ड टाइम हमारे पास में, ये हम इसरो को देते हैं और इसरो जो है हमारे नाविक सैटेलाइट को देते हैं। और उससे जो हमारी अपना जो देसी जीपीएस है उसकी क्वालिटी जो अमेरिकन जीपीएस से उससे बहुत अच्छी है।
The National Atomic Timescale generates Indian Standard Time with an accuracy of 2.8 nanosecond. Bharatiya Nirdeshak Dravya is supporting testing and calibration of laboratories for quality assurance at par with international standards. The National Environmental Standards Laboratory will aid self-reliance in the certification of ambient air and industrial emission monitoring equipment.
भारतीय निर्देशक द्रव्य BND है, वो NPL का अपना हुआ बनाया हुआ इंडियन सर्टिफाइड रेफरेंस मटेरियल है और ये यूज़ होता है हर एक सेक्टर में। तो जैसे हमारे इन्वायरमेंट में पोल्यूशन मेजर करना है तो आज के दिन में हम क्या करते हैं कि बाहर से इंपोर्टेड इक्विपमेंट मंगाते हैं और आपने कई बार देखा भी होगा कि वो अलग अलग रीडिंग देते हैं। तो अलग अलग रीडिंग इसलिए देते हैं क्योंकि वो कैलिब्रेटेड नहीं है। तो जब ये लेबोरेटरी बन जाएगी और इंडिया का अपना सर्टिफिकेशन स्कीम होगा जिसका नाम है नेशनल फिजिकल लेबोरेटरी ऑफ इंडिया सर्टिफिकेशन स्कीम ऑफ एम्बिएंट एयर एंड इंडस्ट्रियल इमिशन मॉनिटरिंग इक्विपमेंट्स।
National Metrology Conclave 2021 is being organized by the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, National Physical Laboratory, CSIR NPL, New Delhi, which is entering into the 75th year of its inception. The theme of the conclave is Metrology for Inclusive Growth of the Nation. Newsnight Desk, DD India.
Okay, now in some good news, in the year 2020, the digital channels of Prasar Bharati across Doordarshan and Aatmanirbhar have registered more than 100% growth, clocking over 1 billion digital views and over 6 billion digital watch minutes. During 2020, News On Air app added more than 2.5 million users, with the platform registering over 300 million views, with live radio streaming featuring over 200 streams being most popular features. Keeping company with DD National and DD News in the top 10 digital channels of Prasar Bharati are Marathi news from DD Sahyadri, Kannada programming from DD Chandana, Bangla news from DD Bangla and Telugu programming on DD Saptagiri, while DD Sports and Akashvani Sports have created a steady digital following with live commentary. Prasar Bharati Archives and DD Kisan have also been steady digital performers. And tragic news coming in, at least 17 people were killed on Sunday as the roof of a crematorium in Muradnagar in Ghaziabad district of Uttar Pradesh collapsed. Roughly 100 people were attending the funeral procession of a local resident when the roof suddenly collapsed as they took shelter from the pouring skies. The UP government has ordered a probe into the tragic incident.
In a tragic accident in Ghaziabad district in Uttar Pradesh, at least 17 people were killed and several others injured when the roof of a structure in Muradnagar's crematorium collapsed on Sunday. The tragic accident occurred when people coming in to attend the last rites of loved ones took shelter following rain under the roof of a structure at the crematorium in Muradnagar. However, the roof suddenly collapsed, under which many people got trapped. The injured have been rushed to the hospital. Soon after, NDRF teams were rushed to the accident site for relief and rescue operation. Ordering probe into the accident, the Uttar Pradesh government has asked the administration to submit a report in this regard. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath assured all possible help to the victims of the accident.
जिलाधिकारी और वरिष्ठ पुलिस अधीक्षक गाजियाबाद मौके पर हैं, राहत कार्य कर रहे हैं और मैंने उन लोगों से स्पष्ट कर दिया है कि राहत कार्य में घायलों को तत्काल उपचार कराने के साथ ही इस पूरी घटना की रिपोर्ट वे तत्काल प्रदेश शासन को उपलब्ध करवा दें, जिससे इस दुखद घटना के पीछे के कारणों को जाना जा सके.
President Ramnath Kovind has extended his condolences over loss of lives in the accident. In a tweet, President said that the incident of roof collapse at the crematorium in Muradnagar, Ghaziabad is extremely painful. I pray for speedy recovery of those injured in this accident. Prime Minister Narendra Modi said, pained by the news of tragic accident in Muradnagar in Uttar Pradesh. The state government is doing relief and rescue work. I extend my condolences to the family of those who died in mishap and pray for quick recovery of those injured. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has also expressed grief over accident. In a tweet, he said, extremely saddened by the loss of life due to collapse of roof at crematorium in Muradnagar, Ghaziabad. I extend my condolences to the bereaved family in this hour of grief. I also pray for speedy recovery of those injured in the accident. The Ghaziabad MP VK Singh has assured that strict action will be taken against those found guilty.
अब बैठकर पूरा प्रशासन इसको पूरे तरीके से देखेगा, इस पर जांच होगी, निष्पक्ष जांच होगी, गहराई से जांच होगी और जो दोषी पाए जाएंगे उनके खिलाफ एक्शन.
Administration has started probe to find out whether the contractor had used substandard materials to construct gallery which could not withstand even the slight drizzle. Local people are also demanding strict action against the culprits to avoid such incidents in future. Newsnight Desk, DD India.
Let's get you a weather update now. A severe cold wave has been sweeping across North India for the past few weeks, even as several parts of Delhi and adjoining areas received moderate to heavy rainfall along with thunderstorms on Sunday morning. The minimum temperature went up but maximum came down, and now the IMD has said that after the end of the wet spell, fresh northerly northwesterly winds are likely to sweep in over the plains of northwest India, causing cold wave conditions to come back with a vengeance.
A severe cold wave has been sweeping the North India for the past few weeks. Moderate to heavy snowfall engulfed Kashmir and the high reaches of Ladakh, while rains lashed the Jammu division on Sunday. The Met Office has forecast widespread snowfall in many areas of the valley on Monday, with heavy snowfall at isolated places. The 40-day-long period of harsh winter cold, locally known as the Chalai Kala, will end on January 31st. Meanwhile, several parts of Delhi and adjoining areas received moderate to heavy rainfall along with thunderstorms on Sunday morning. The IMD had predicted the possibility of more intense rain in Delhi and the National Capital Region over the next 3 days. There is also a forecast of a hailstorm in Delhi on Monday. The minimum temperature will be around 7 to 8 degrees in the coming days because of the passing western disturbances.
We'll get widespread to fairly widespread rainfall. And 3 and 4 will have a heavy rainfall over Punjab and Haryana also, isolated places. And East Rajasthan also we have predicted also. And for the hill, actually already Jammu Kashmir has today good distribution, but Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand has a light to moderate and scattered rainfall.
The India Meteorological Department has said that after cessation of the wet spell, a fresh northerly northwesterly winds is likely to set in over the plains of northwest India, causing cold wave to severe cold wave conditions at isolated places over Punjab, Haryana and North Rajasthan from January 7 onwards. For January 4th, the IMD has predicted heavy rain and snowfall at isolated places over Jammu and Kashmir, Ladakh, Gilgit-Baltistan, Muzaffarabad and Himachal Pradesh. It also said that heavy rainfall is very likely at isolated places at Punjab and Haryana and Chandigarh. Thunderstorm accompanied with lightning and hail will occur at isolated places over Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Punjab, Haryana, Chandigarh and Delhi, West Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan and West Madhya Pradesh. The IMD also predicted light to moderate showers on Monday in Delhi and surrounding areas. The air quality is likely to remain largely in the moderate category from Monday onwards. Bureau Report, DD India.
And with that, it's time to get you some more nationwide updates.
Shivraj Singh Chauhan-led Madhya Pradesh cabinet was expanded on Sunday. Governor Anandiben Patel administered the oath to Tulsi Silawat and Govind Singh Rajput as ministers. Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan has said that stern action will be taken against those who damage public property in the state. The Chief Minister said that those involved in such incidents would also have to pay the compensation for the damaged public property. Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat on Sunday met the personnel of the Indian Army and ITBP deployed in the forwardmost air-maintained post along the Subanasiri Valley in Arunachal Pradesh. Before concluding his two-day visit to Arunachal Pradesh, General Rawat complimented the soldiers for adopting innovative measures for surveillance and said that he was satisfied by the high morale and motivation of all ranks, who will ensure certain victory if challenged or given the opportunity. An MOU on power projects was signed between J&K government and NHPC at Jammu Convention Centre on Sunday. On the occasion, the Union Energy Minister R.K. Singh said that J&K has lagged behind in the power sector. He held previous governments accountable for this. Security forces on Sunday recovered a cache of arms and ammunition near the line of control in Poonch district of Jammu and Kashmir. This was the third round of recovery of arms and ammunition in the district, following the busting of three-member module of Jammu and Kashmir Ghazanvi force. BCCI President Saurabh Ganguly is doing absolutely fine, assured Woodlands Hospital CEO Rupali Basu as he recovers from a right coronary angioplasty, which he underwent after being admitted with chest pain on Saturday. Saurabh's brother, Snehashish Ganguly, said that Saurabh is well and the medical board will decide further course of action on Monday. Jagannath Temple in Odisha's Puri opened for everyone on Sunday, but with strict COVID guidelines. The temple was closed on January 1 and 2 to avoid any kind of rush in the wake of the New Year.
Now, doctors are gods in human form. Such an example was seen in Sarchiv district of northeastern state of Mizoram, where medical staff helped a mother deliver a baby on the way to hospital. The incident took place on Saturday when a couple were driving to the district hospital from their village. However, the mother started having labour pain even before they could reach the hospital. Sarchiv District Hospital was immediately informed and a team of medical staff along with the medical officer reached the spot immediately and delivered a baby boy inside the car itself. The baby and the mother are now said to be fine. The parents of the baby as well as the local people have expressed their gratitude for the swift action taken by Sarchiv District Hospital staff. And on that happy note, that's all we have for the moment in Newsnight tonight. We're all looking forward to the rollout of the vaccine, but in the meantime and perhaps even after you've got the shot, it will be a good idea to mask up and stay safe.